All right, we are right at 11 o'clock Eastern, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, good morning, everyone. Glad to see everybody signing in this morning. My name is Courtney Brown. I am the director of the Evergreen Indiana Library Consortium. I'll be helping Britta out this morning while she does her new features and Evergreen Indiana webinar. If you do have any questions when you are watching, just put those in the chat box and I will get those to Britta when there's a good time. I'm going to turn it over to Britta.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning to look at the new features that are coming in the upgrade in late November. This is including fixes and updates from 3.11.3 to 3.13.4 and maybe 3.13.5. We'll just see how we feel. But if you were able to attend one of the regional user groups we hosted over the last month and a half. Much of this will be familiar to you, but we are going to show more examples of these. So, while most of the changes being implemented are fixes and smaller adjustments, we do have a few larger changes that we are really excited about, and one that we have been working on to figure out how to get it to work, and we have gotten it to work, and now we are just super pumped about it because it's super cool. Okay, we're just going to jump right into it. So the first thing, first, we are looking at carousels. So I'm not sure how many libraries here today are still using the classic catalog or if they have moved to your Aspen catalog, but the carousels maintenance and creation has gotten a little easier. So instead of only being able to use record buckets to create and maintain carousels, you can now use item buckets and item status. So you can create carousels based on items and not necessarily records. So let's go into our MIG server and I can show you what that is going to look like. So I'm bringing up my item bucket of our consortium collection. Let me make this a little bigger actually, because it has all of our items already in here. And so right now we only, of course, can create buckets through the record bucket module. But now when we go into our item bucket drop down, we have a create carousel from bucket. When we click on that, we just create our new carousel. It's going to give us a toast message saying that it was created. And then to actually maintain or make changes, we go to that local administration page. Now, if you remember, local admins have the carousel permissions and then certain others that took the training several years ago. So once you click on here, you'll be able to see that that bucket. And then when you double click or right click on the link, we can click edit selected and then we can make a few changes if we wanted to, like to change the maximum number of items. If you want to create a carousel based on shelving location, we can do that and of course like that age limit. If you noticed here, this is kind of a trend in the upgrade or in 3.13. Some of the right clicking on the links or in the grids has kind of changed a little bit. We're hoping it's just a bug that they will fix it, but usually we would be able to just click anywhere on here and get that that actions menu but sometimes it'll bring up the browser submenu. But we have noticed if you right click on the actual like links, if there are links on that row, then it should bring up that actions menu. And then of course you always have access to the actual actions button here at the top. Let me show you what it might look like if we were to do this from item status. So I'm going to bring up let's just bring this up. No, that's not going to be a good one. I'm just gonna click a few of these and open an item status. So we have our item status. I select all of the items that I want to add. We can right click or go to actions and then create carousel from selected items. And then we just go through the whole process again of naming the carousel, and then we can go and manage it from there. Um, so that's basically the things that have changed for carousels. There might be a few other fixes, but those are the main changes that have occurred. In the OPAC, patrons will have the ability to add and edit their preferred name. So let's bring up an example of that. Okay, I'm bringing up our dummy account. So to get to the preferred name, we go to Preferences and Personal Information. And now they have, if they already have a preferred name entered into their account, it will be visible here and they will be able to change it. If they don't have one set, excuse me, this will be blank and they will be able to just click change from here. They will need to enter their current password to make any changes. But once they do, okay, let's, hmm, let's remove the preferred first name. Maybe she decides to go back to Michaela. So, so that's how they will be able to change it in the OPAC. Novelist Select, this is what we're really excited about. So if you remember back in the day before they updated the catalog to what it looks like today, when it was basically the same as the class or the OPAC catalog, we had access to Novelist Select information, similar titles, series information, things like that. And then when it was updated, it went away. Well, it's coming back now. So and we have been able to test this and get it working. So to get to actually, well, not really get to it, it's already in the catalog. We've enabled it. So let's say, let's actually, uh, let's just look up the lightning thief because I know it has uh, the information that Courtney and I were very excited about earlier this morning. My earlier example does not. So we're just going to grab this one. Nope, we'll grab this one. So a new tab has been added. Right now it says added content. It's going to change. We might just change it to novelist. We'll see where the wind blows us for that. But if there's added content from novelist for the title, and this is based on the ISBN, then it's going to turn blue and the star is going to turn yellow. If there isn't added content, it's going to stay gray or it's going to say no added. I believe it says no added content. But when we click on it, it's going to give us our Novelist Select information. So we have series information, similar titles, similar authors, similar series, information about Story Finder, so based on genre, themes. And then, ta-da, we have Lexile and accelerated reader information. And if we click search, it's going to bring up titles in the catalog with those Lexile measurements. We're fairly certain at this time that the information is not taken from Mark because it's from Novelist Select. So even if the bib records themselves don't have the Lexile information in the Mark record, the search will still bring up the title since it's based on, I believe it's based on ISBN. So if we were to click on that, it's going to take us to a search of the new title. And if we can click on it, and it might take a moment to load if there is content, or
Richa, what
maybe,
I've noticed is when we click on it, it takes you to the prod server, which is the novelist isn't loaded in
oh,
there
I
yet.
see it. I see that.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So that is why it wasn't showing up is because okay. Well, that's how it should really. Um, So at least we know that works. So it will start a new search with those terms, and then you'll be able to go to that item. But this is really cool, and I'm really excited about it, especially that accelerated reader Lexile search, because we have been wanting to get that back in or have that capabilities in the catalog for quite some time. Printing rows, areas of the web client will now allow us to print selected rows instead of the full grid. This will be in item status, the pull list, patron bills, user buckets, and some other areas. So if we were to, let me go back into item buckets and bring up, let's go here. I'm just going to select all of these and open in item status. So now let's just click a few of these. When we go to the cog wheel or the grid config menu, that is where this menu option is here. And this will print based on that item status print template. And that is located in the original place of the workstation print templates area. So this is where that information is probably going to print or format wise. Holds pull list, we are now able to filter by pickup library or shelving location. While I personally haven't thought of a reason to filter by pickup library, except maybe if you're multi-branch. Um, if let's say your youth department only pulls youth department um, holds. Instead of printing the entire list, you'll be able to just filter by those shelving locations and um, and then print that list. So let's go to a library that I know has shelving locations. And so to filter by shelving locations, it's not a drop down, but we're going to click on the area. We're going to keep the shelving locations option selected. We don't, at least right now, we don't use shelving location groups in Evergreen to my knowledge. And then we're just going to select those shelving locations you want to include in your filter. So maybe easy room books, you can add more or multiple at a time. So we like say juvenile DVD. Let's just add one more for now. And then apply. And then now you only have the filtered shelving locations listed, and you'll be able to print your full list or print full grid, however you print. Now, I don't know. Let's find out. I don't know if the shelving locations are sticky. So let's go back here. I'm wondering if, okay, they are sticky. Um, so if you, so looks like if you commonly, like at your youth department circulation desk, you set your shelving locations, you leave them, and then it will always pull up those shelving locations for you. So you don't have to keep adding the filter. To remove those shelving locations, then you will have to click clear and then confirm, and then it will show all of your the holds listed for the pull list for your library. So that's actually kind of neat. I wasn't sure about that during the user groups, if we would be able to select multiple. Canceled holds. So they have added a new column called Hold Canceling Staff to the recently canceled holds tab in the patron account. This will allow us to track what staff account canceled the hold. So that is going to look like, so let's go to, actually I have my barcode here. And I'm going to go to holds and then recently canceled holds. And then I'll go into grid config and find that column, hold canceling staff. You also have a hold canceling workstation. So we can turn that on, and here it is. For holds that have been canceled prior to the upgrade, they will remain blank. The hold canceling column will remain blank. Only those holds that will have been canceled after we upgrade to 313 will have that staff person's username listed. Also, if you don't have the column, you should still be able to use detail view and see that canceling staff. All right, a couple more for circulation. Um, part holds. A few upgrades ago, we were able to require part selection when placing a hold. However, there were a number of bugs related to it where it wasn't working correctly, so we had to disable that. Now they have fixed those problems. So now when we place a hold, staff and patron, um, and there is a part attached to at least one item in the on the record, it's going to require you to select a part. So let's say, um, okay, I don't know why I'm coming up blank with, um, let's do season 5 of Game of Thrones. I should always write down the examples I want to use. Sometimes I do, most of the times I don't. And then even when I do, I forget. Okay, let's. So I should have enabled this already. And we're going to place hold. So even before we add patron information, notice how that any discs or any part option is gone. Now it's going to automatically select the first part based alphabetical order. So so even if they don't select a part, it's going to select a part for them. Um, so technically a part will always be selected, but it will always be the first one. So they'll want to go in, and staff will want to go in and make sure they select the appropriate part for the patron. Default pickup location. Uh, right now, we cannot, if you set a default pickup location in those user settings in the patron account, we cannot clear it. Now we will be able to. So let's go back to Kayla's account and go to edit. I don't think I set a default location. Okay, I did. So we have a default hold pickup location. They decide, okay, we want to change it, or we don't want to default. We'll just default to our home library. So before we can, even if we try to select something different, when we save, it would revert back to that original. But now we can click clear, and then when we save and scroll back down, it's empty. So now it will now default to the home library because that default hold pickup location has now been cleared. Closures in the OPAC. So now when you enter anything in the closed dates editor, so local admins, when you enter those dates, they will now, not now appear on the library's about page in the classic catalog. So let's go back here. Let's do a search. Let's grab this one. And so when a patron clicks on a location, we have our opening hours, but now we have upcoming closures and we have that reason for closure right here. So be aware of that when you enter the close date, the reason that it will be public. But I think that'll be really helpful for libraries. Language, some of the language, as we've upgraded throughout the years with Evergreen, we've changed from copy and volume to item and call number and circulating library to checkout renewal library, but not all of the terms were updated together. So we were using multiple columns for circulating and checkout. So we didn't know what to use. So now the circulating library column name has been updated to checkout renewal. It should be everywhere now, but that has been updated. I don't really have, well, I mean, we could probably, let's go to item status for this. So I couldn't even remember what I was doing. Okay, so we have our checkout renewal library. We have the circulation library, which remember is the owning library. But so now we just have that checkout renewal library, which will give us that circulation information. Group member details. A new column has been added that shows the group member's privilege expiration date. So I think Michaela is still in a group. Oh, she is. So now when we are looking at our group member details, we have that privilege expiration date, and that will be available here. As always, if you make changes to the columns, make sure you save them. Okay, I have a live look, but we've kind of been doing the live look as we went along. All right, on to cataloging. Record notes. Right now, we cannot tell visually if a record note is on a bibliographic record. We have to actually click on the tab to see any notes, but that has now changed. They have added that tally. So let's go into the catalog. Oh, yes. If there are any questions, please start typing them. Again, I've already forgotten what I was doing. Okay. So record notes. So catalogers or they're looking at the mark and they need confirmation or however we use our record notes for. When we add our new record note, check series numeration, we click save. We now have that tally to tell us how many record notes are on this particular record. Now, unfortunately, we still cannot tell who created the record. So it's still showing as admin. So I'm going to recommend when you add, if you add a note, to add your username to it. So we know who to go to if we have questions. We know who to email. The create date and last edit date are there, so that's not really anything we need to add to the note, but I recommend adding your username so we know who to ask about any questions. Permissions, one or two upgrades ago, it always happens between upgrades, of course, there was a regression of permissions where the update copy, which is what used to allow us to do all of the things like create updating call number, updating the copy itself, like all of its attributes, that has now been kind of split up. So now we have create copy, create volume, update copy, and update volume. Um, so catalogers will have all of those. The um, and it should Circ staff should still be able to change like the status, like if it's missing or damaged, but they will not be able to go in and um, edit the attributes without training or request. I know this is going to, we're working out the kinks. We are going to go through and kind of see how we can limit the frustration that might occur. But so let me log out and back in as Circ one because I want to show you that that read only. That is a very good question, Ellen, of how we can get training. Um, okay, this is not, it's being, well, I can't, um, I don't have an answer for you right now, Ellen. I don't know if it's maybe just local training of from your catalogers if you if you're not sure how yet, but I don't know which, this is where preparation would have been helpful. So, so those view edit buttons have now um, kind of gone back to normal if you have been seeing like the edit button, but if you don't have the update permissions, you probably won't be able to see that. You still be able to go into holdings view and this is another one of those link row things. So if I right click on here and edit items, it'll open the holdings editor, but you won't be able to change anything. Again, we're still working on how to minimize the transition for this. Um, so we still have a little time so we can figure this out. Um, one of the Maybe I think it's kind of odd that they did this. So the Z39 switch, they have switched the services and credentials column with the filters or the search query. So now the our services credentials are over here, and then our query is over here on the right. You'll still want to save as default, and it looks like you might need to recheck these, um, and then you'll work as normal, but the submit button is still here on the left. Let me log out of here and get back to my okay. think. All right. So that's just a change that they made. And it's not necessarily something that might be changed back. There is a wish list listed in the Launchpad, um, but the main concern is making sure that the filters where we actually enter the information and the submit button are together, not because now they're kind of on opposite sides of the screen. Item alerts have a few things have been fixed for those. They have now allowed us to batch edit item alerts in the holdings editor. It says that it will group together very similar alerts so you can edit them all together. One of the things I really like, especially when you're dealing with item alerts and notes and things like that, is they have added a changes pending notice in the holdings editor next to the save buttons. So, um, Amanda, we are working on figuring out how that's going to look. Um, we will let you know. Her question was about circulation staff no longer being able to change the shelving locations or item status. Okay. I thought I just problem when you are moving between usernames is you have too many browsers open.
For a time, I'm going to just hop in. Laura has a question as well.
Okay.
Using our current terms, we have items owned by traveling collection that are circulated by Eminence, Brooklyn, or Morgantown. What would the new columns be called now?
What do you mean by columns? Do you mean like the checkout renewal library and item status? It's probably still going to be if you change the um
Yes, she says in item status.
yeah, if you change the circulation library in the attributes, I would think that would still, because the checkout renew library will change based on the last library that it circulated at. Um, so I would think it would, if you change the branch level owner of the item to between your branches, that will change, but the checkout renew library will just change based on where it last checked out. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to do. So if you have your the circ and owning libraries, these are still going to these are staying the same. Um, and if you were to look in here, you would still have your checkout renewal library, circulation library. So circulation library goes with owning library, and circ library should be your, I assume it's the based on your attributes. So you could have it would just be based on what you have here in your attributes. I was not prepared to answer a question like that, so my answer is probably not super great. So I'm going to write this down. Okay. So we will get back to you on that, Laura, with a okay, April notes. For those of you transfer from branch to branch, the owning is the owning, library circulation is where it sits. Oh yes, I was going to show you. Um, okay, so I don't remember if I added that or not. When we add an alert, right now we cannot edit it. So when we add new, apply changes, and now we have a changes pending. So we know we have not saved since we changed something last. So when we apply all and save and go back to our item alerts, it's going to appear. But now we can edit. Then apply changes, apply and save. And now we can edit instead of deleting and creating a new one. The enhanced mark editor, this is one of the bigger changes. We're not going to go super into it, but I wanted to show it to you all. It has become more accessible, responsive, and there are a few more like keyboard shortcuts that are available. They don't work the way they should at this moment, but they are there. Good question, Monica. Does the changes pending only show up when you are changing alerts? I can't remember, so let's double check. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. Nope, it changes for anything that you change for the item. So if you change an attribute, um, it will change for that. One thing that I believe Courtney pointed out to me the other day, you might, when we finish with the upgrade and you log in for the first time, you may have to go back and turn back on that unified holdings for preferences if you have had the holdings and item attributes tabs unified. You might have to turn that back on. So just heads up about that. Okay, so the editor, let me close some of these. Okay. So the flat text editor has not changed. The enhanced mark editor has. Immediately you can see a color difference. Um, you'll be able to see more once it loads. So now we are working with um, a more color contrast, but we have some cool new features. Again, it's not perfect. They're still working on some kinks and stuff. But instead of right-clicking on our fixed fields now, we can just uh, click on it, and then it'll give us a combo box of all of the available codes for that particular um, fixed field. So since we don't use Ks anymore, we would change it to 7. For audience, we can click on that and change it if we need to. Now there are, so that's, I think it's useful. It's kind of, it'll be a different change because right now, if we just click on it, it skips the first character. So we can't just immediately type in the code, which is something a lot of us are probably used to. Um, we would have to double click to highlight that and then like enter the code from there. So, and of course, there are some other bugs that we will get into deeper in the um, cataloging refresher. But cool features, we can now more easily remove subfields or add them. We can use the X's to remove subfields, use this little fun button to add new ones. We can move fields or rows up and down in order of in the mark. We can copy a field. If we want to add a second one, we can just add a blank one. Again, the shortcuts still work, um, but they are, um, again, a little buggy right now. I almost don't want to show you because I want to save it for the refresher, but I can't help it. I'm super excited about it. So we have that help button that already gives us the keyboard shortcut list. But if we have that, if we keep that help button enabled, if we scroll down, it's going to give us mark information for like the primary mark fields tags. So here we have the information for the 100 field. We have indicator information, the subfield codes and what they mean. The 245, 250, it will easily change. So let's say this it was at 260, and so it's going to automatically update that field with the mark information. I know I love it too. I think it's super helpful. I think it's going to be really useful for catalogers who might not be super comfortable with mark, or like I tend to forget things. So having this here will be useful for me to do that. And then if you uncheck the help button, they will just kind of disappear. So there's a few more things, but we'll go over those specifics in the cataloging refresher, and Jocelyn Lewis is going to cover those. Administration, shelving locations. We know that we can't actually like delete shelving locations. We can mark them as deleted, um, and they still show up in our list. Um, And now the deleted shelving locations are going to be hidden by default in the editor. So when we go to local admin and shelving locations, that is deleted filter is going to be on by default. If you turn it off, let's clear filter. Um, it's going to show all of those. And then if we refresh, it should turn that filter back on. So that's going to hide those deleted shelving locations. Hatch did the prefix deletion bug get fixed with the upgrade? Um, are you talking about there's something to do with prefixes and suffixes that I did see. Um, can you elaborate on that while I continue? And we'll get back to get back to it. The hatch combined, the enable hatch and the printer setting pages in the workstation menu have been combined and also updated. So now instead of two separate links to enable hatch and then go into set up the print context, we just have one. Um, And so it's telling us that hatch status is connected. So we have the browser extension and the desktop application. And if we want to turn it on for printing, we will click that button and then we can set our print contexts. Um, are you talking about deleting a prefix in a shelving location, or is it in the holdings editor? Because I'm pretty sure. Um, Anita, what is a prefix that do you know? Um, a shelving location that has a prefix? Local admin prefix page. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. Uh, where is it? Call number prefixes. Let's see. Okay, I'm in MIG, so whatever I delete, it doesn't, or well, you have all these Z's, so I assume these are, let's see if, okay, says it was successfully deleted, but I have a feeling, it's not. 235. It does not delete. Um, I know there is some conversation about prefixes and suffixes. Let me write this down. I know there's a lot of areas in Evergreen where we try to delete things, but they don't, even though it asks us if we want to delete it. Part of that is because of um, the information that is connected to it. Kristen kind of was helpful in explaining this. So when we try to delete a shelving location, we mark it as deleted, but it's not actually, you can still see it. And that's because if we were to completely delete the shelving location, we would have to delete um, it in many other areas in the database because it's connected to so many different other, they use the term tables. So there's so much if information um, that that it makes it difficult to actually delete things instead of just marking it as or flagging it as deleted. I have only been successful in getting prefixes deleted when the state did it for me. Yeah, we would be able to delete it more appropriately in the database, though I don't know. I don't know. But we only let's keep going. Yeah, I've written it down. I need Anita and Anna, so we can look into that. Okay, org unit config. If you remember right now, when we have that new notes field that allows us to add like the library is closed from 12 to 1 on Mondays. When we check mark that box, it enabled all of them. They have fixed that, so it's always enabled, and they just have gotten rid of those check boxes. It's now just showing underneath the time for each day. Close dates, I kind of already showed you that the close dates are now appearing in the classic catalog on that about page. A few changes to acquisitions. Um, they have added a new interface to manage the fiscal years. So under the acquisitions administration, and they have this fiscal years and calendar, and then this is where those would appear and how you can manage those. They have updated or angularized the create invoice, claim ready items, and the mark federated search functions in acquisitions. They do still have the legacy versions of the claim ready and create invoice. So if you needed to go back to those, but they have updated them for, I think I should be able to get. Oh no, you have to do the searches and stuff first. But those have been updated. They have added a new background processing for the Mark Batch import export and load Mark order records. You will be able to select to import records in the background. So you'll be able to leave the screen and then be notified via email of the import's completion. Based on this, I assume now if you start the load Mark order record process, if you leave, then it like negates or stops or something. So that will allow you to leave that page and then be notified later when the import has completed. They've fixed a grid configuration issue where you weren't able to save any changes in the distribution formulas admin interface. So that has been fixed. For the acquisition search, it's now allowing you to receive canceled or back ordered line items. And then this might not be an issue right now, but in the future, I guess a lot of vendors are switching from FTP to SFTP, which is a file transfer protocol. They have implemented a fix in Evergreen for this, but we might not have to worry about that until you might want to check with your vendors to see if that is something that we need to update on our end, update those links. Okay. I'm not going to get too into the reports module, but now that we have it set up in MIG, I can show you more. But we'll go over it a lot more in the new reports module webinar, which you can register for on the .org calendar. So let's go. All right. So we have a new reports module. The output of the reports has not changed, but obviously you can see the layout of the folders, templates, things like that has changed. Um, our search button is now, or we have a search tab now instead of a search bar at the top. Um, but um, we can access our reports here. It has lists. We can, if we double click on a template, it's going to take us to the new report so we can fill out our filters. And then over here in the new text tab, we can select our output information, the report and output folders, and then the type of reports, if it's a recurring report or if we want to schedule the report for later. One thing I'm also very excited about that you probably will be very excited about, let me cancel that, is let me find a one with shelving location. Let's see. Filters. This is, nope, that's, but okay, if I can't find it, deleted shelving locations will no longer appear in that list that we use as a shelving location filter. Um, so instead of having to change all of our or adding those Z's to the deleted shelving location so they appear at the bottom of the list, they are no longer appearing in the list. Um, let's see. Okay. Here we go. So I do have a couple deleted consortium locations, shelving locations, and they are no longer appearing. Let's see if I can change it here. Okay, they are appearing. That's annoying. You know, we're just going to pretend I didn't do that and keep going. As I may have mentioned a few times throughout today, it's not perfect. There are and probably always will be bugs in Evergreen. That is where the Evergreen Launchpad page comes in handy, where the Evergreen community puts in bugs, wish list items, things like that. And this is also where we can get our information about the upgrade. So if you are interested in seeing more about like the changes in like the bug fixes and things like that, you can go into here, and there's also another link that I can share. Let's close some of these. Um, if you go, nope. Um, if you scroll down to the very bottom, these are all release notes for all previous versions of Evergreen. Um, so we are going from 3.11.2 to 3.11 or 3.13.4 or 5. So when you click on this, it's going to give you the full release, the 3.13, and it's going to break down all of the changes on each version. So 3.13.0 will show you those new features. There's a lot of tech speak that I don't really understand, and there's some stuff that's more for like Jeremy and Kristen as the sysadmin and database analyst. But this is going to give you all of the things that have been fixed or have been added for the versions. So let me get that in there if you just really want to go down the rabbit hole for that. But it's your turn now. We have updated the training server to 3.13.4. Please go in, play around. Let us know if you find anything that doesn't seem to be working correctly, that has changed. Of course, we have the staff web client for the train server, and we have the separate list of staff patron accounts. Remember, your Evergreen Indiana accounts will not work, so you will need to register a workstation using one of the local admin accounts, and then you can log in as the different types. So please go in to the training server. Let us know if there's anything you find that doesn't seem to be working correctly that has changed from 3.11 to now. So if it doesn't work in 3.11 and still doesn't work in 3.13, that's something we're a little less worried about, more stuff that should already be working. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? I know there's concern about the update copy permission. Thank you, Anita. If there aren't any questions, thank you for joining us today. Uh, my contact information and Courtney's contact information is there on the screen. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns regarding Evergreen Indiana, the upgrade. Remember, it is the 23rd and 24th of November. We will have offline mode training that Monday and Tuesday. Recordings will be available on YouTube. And then we will also be going over the new reports module that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Recordings will be made available. LEUs for this webinar will be in the Dropbox. I am going to work on either this recording or tomorrow's recording, and hopefully have it uploaded to view by Friday.
Britta, Ellen is asking, will there be an update on holdings editor training later?
Um, if it's about the update copy permission, those changes, I'm not sure yet. Nothing else has really changed in the holdings editor itself except that changes pending option. Um, so maybe, who knows? If you ask for training for something, we can probably figure something out or meet one-on-one. I'm always happy to help for anything Evergreen Indiana related that I am able to help you with. That's okay, Anna, about the prefixes. I do want to. I mean, if you're hanging out for a minute, I can go ahead and, because there was something to do with prefixes or something. Um, oh, the none option has been restored for prefix and suffix fields in the holdings editor batch actions. So that has changed in 3.13. Let's see if there's anything in 3.12. Oh, no, that's the same. Let's see if there's anything in the 313 or 311 3 plus because we're on 3. Nope, still that. And then we can also look at, let's see what if there are any. They're asking for have a deleted flag. To remove references from deleted call numbers in the database with the prefix. So there is talk about at least adding a deleted flag. And I think I'm already. What's kind of neat about Launchpad is you can, if you have an account, you can subscribe to specific bugs, so you'll be notified when there are updates or comments added to that. See if there's anything else.
I did find another bug. I don't know if about prefixes I put in the chat there.
Want the ability to delete call number prefix suffix attached to deleted call number records. Okay. So again, there is talk about it. Um, okay. So there is talk about it in the community. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to this one as well. So I will get no updates about any of this. Yeah, of course. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you around.
Hi, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.